Obama has won the election. However, the 303 Electoral College votes to 206 betrays how close this election truly was, with just 2.5% of the popular vote in it. The exit polls are in, and we can now see why Obama won this election. Firstly, you can see it was fairly divided along gender lines, with female voters voting for Obama in more than 15% for Romney, with the opposite for male voters. Almost 15% more male voters voted for Romney than they did for Obama. A very important statistic is votes along race lines. As you can see, Obama captured nearly all of the black vote, and every other non-white group voted more for Obama than they did for Romney. A problem for the Republican Party. Age also showed a very clear distinction between the candidates. A very clear line going from young voters who clearly favoured Obama to older voters who clearly favoured Romney. Income turned out quite a surprise. The lowest income earners voting for Obama, as to be expected. However, middle income and high income earners almost split evenly. This came as a surprise to both parties. The religious vote showed no particular telling, except the Mormon vote was captured by Mitt Romney, as could be expected. When it came to issues facing the country, both candidates were clearly very different. When it came to foreign policy and healthcare, due to Obamacare and Obama's perceived better ability on the foreign stage, he was favoured by voters who thought foreign policy and healthcare were the most important things for the country. However, when it came to reducing the federal budget deficit and sorting America's economy, Romney clearly came out on top. And finally, when voters were asked what quality mattered most in who they were voting for, Mitt Romney came out top with sharing values, being a strong leader, and a vision for the future. However, with less than 20% of voters thought that Romney cared about people like them. An incredibly telling statistic that shows us why Romney lost this race.
Obama's relationship with Chris Christie, the Republican governor of New Jersey, showed that he was willing to work with the Republicans. This went in his favour as people saw that he could actually work with Republicans, so gave a good impression. Christie also gave his support of Obama and said how well he was doing. Also, as we know, in times of need, the public looks to the president, and he was seen as proactive. With element in threat of bin Laden, it was seen as a great success for America, as people saw it as them officially overcoming the war. Despite the fact that Hurricane Sandy led to $52.4 billion worth of damage, it gave Obama an increase in public approval, just when he needed it most. And he showed concern and enthusiasm when responding to the event and mentioned how he wants to tackle climate change in his speech, showing that he wanted to protect the US people by attempting to try and prevent similar events reoccurring in the future. Romney, however, when addressed with the situation, laughed and breezed over the subject of rising sea levels, saying that if people affected by floods were affected by floods, then they would need to pay for damages themselves. A single problem that could be faced when tackling the prevention of climate change could be funding. Where would money come from, and also how would it be used? We're now going to go over to Helen in Washington.
Hi there, Helen's actually ill today, so Regina's standing in for her here. Obama attracted the vast majority of minority votes, be this from African Americans, Hispanics or Asians. Overall, he gained this majority, which gave great support to Obama's campaign. Due to Romney alienating the American minority, whether it be through his statements about self-deportation, it meant that Obama gained more support. And with a rising Hispanic population outgrowing the Americans for the first time ever, it created a real concern for the Republican Party that if they don't appeal to the masses, could more losses be on the cards. Obama appealed more to the women vote, gaining 55%, and this could be seen because he was pro-choice. Along with this, and Romney being against abortion and the fact he wanted to repeal Roe v. Wade, he was also against the same-sex marriage and wanted to ban it by making it a constitutional amendment. This further alienated the minority groups and gave more appeal towards Obama. Finally, it could be argued that Romney's Mormon faith drove away more votes, as Obama gained the most in the majority of these cases.
Thank you, Regina. Now over to Doug in Ohio.
It's Doug Johnson here. Let's have a look at the economic reasons of why Obama won this election. As we can see, unemployment figures are slowly starting to rise. Although they are still very high, we are seeing employment figures on the rise. The housing market is showing signs of recovery. Consumer confidence is starting to return. That sort of confidence that they saw in Obama's 2008 campaign. GDP is slowly picking up, and the can we see a roaring economy ahead? That's one of the questions you might ask. Certainly the feeling out here in Ohio is that the reasons why Romney lost is that the public just weren't convinced in his economic policies. His tax cuts that he was saying may sound nice in principle, but most of the people that I've been speaking to in Ohio don't believe that that will reduce their deficit. He also wants to repeal the healthcare reform, and he wants to repeal the Wall Street and banking regulations, which doesn't sit too comfortably with the audience here in Ohio, who quite frankly agree with President Obama when he says that that's what got us in the mess in the first place. And he's also opposed to the auto industry bailout, which has so helped Obama win a swing state like this in Ohio, as they were directly affected by that bailout. Doug Johnson, back to the studio.
Thank you guys for that insightful piece. Hi, I'm Ron Burgundy. The question tonight, does Obama's win of a second term mean he's an imperial president? And can we expect a different showing in the second term? Or can we expect 4 years of an imperial presidency? The Democrats' position in Congress will play a huge role in Obama's second term. Over to Trevor McDonald for more.
Well, Ron, Congress is really in the same state it was in 2010. Although Obama still holds a majority in the Senate, this can most likely cause gridlock unless Obama can compromise. He's also lost 2 seats during the midterm election and 4 seats in total since 2008, showing gridlocking even more likely. This can therefore show him to be an imperiled president. Back to Ron in the studio.
Thank you, Trevor. Clearly, as the US is such a worldwide superpower, foreign policy will be a key indicator of of the state of the Obama presidency. Our resident foreign affairs expert, Brian Fantana, reports from Beijing.
Obama has already showed an imperial side in his first term, although it hasn't been plain sailing. On the issue of foreign affairs, the president has always been vital to the success of America on the international stage. For example, China has welcomed the re-election of Obama, as it could be either seen as a valuable ally, or they can easily influence him. But there is a danger this could trigger a more abrasive and competitive relationship between Washington and Beijing. Leading Chinese experts tend to see America's strategic goal as containing China's rise, and view Washington's actions through this prism. But we will have to see until the leadership decide on their foreign policy. This could either go either way, and he could either be imperial if China is able to limit them, but imperiled if pushed around. On the issue of Afghanistan and the withdrawal, Obama has pledged to leave Afghanistan by 2014. This has shown leadership and in a way has shown a very imperial side, but this cannot be assured as it hasn't happened yet. On the issue of economy and domestic policy, on hearing of the re-election of Obama, the Dow Jones dropped 313 points, or 2.4%, which could either say that the economy is not confident in Obama's re-election and that he is not the right man to bring America out of the recession.
Thank you, Brian, for that wonderful report. Now finally we have Tom Tucker reporting on what Obama has to expect from the Supreme Court. Tom?
Thank you, Ron. President Barack Obama's election victory on Tuesday may give him the opportunity to deepen his liberal imprint on the US Supreme Court. Obama named 2 Liberals to the High Court during his first 4-year term, and 4 of the current justices are in their 70s, 2 Liberal, 2 Conservative. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg will retire at 82, she has said, so it's safe to say President Barack Obama will get to make at least 1 appointment to the Supreme Court in his second term. As she is a Liberal, Obama replacing Ginsburg won't necessarily shift the current left-right balance to the court, though it will certainly strengthen the Liberal bloc. But that's not the only possible future scenario. For instance, Justice Antonin Scalia and Justice Anthony Kennedy are each currently 76 years old. These Republican appointees would perhaps prefer to wait until a president of their own party is in office before retiring, but the unmerciful forces of age and health could command a different result. Needless to say, Obama replacing either of these two justices would have a profound impact on the future of both the Supreme Court and American politics. The chance of more muscle on the left in the future could influence conservative justices today, tempting them to be more forceful or, alternatively, more willing to compromise with the Liberals. A swing in the Liberal direction could foster a new outlook regarding campaign finance regulation, but no matter who exits and who enters, the court can be expected to stay tightly divided on many social policy dilemmas. A majority is likely to remain supportive of the rights of gay men and lesbians, although it's impossible to predict how the justices would rule on same-sex marriage. It is now certain that the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, which made abortion illegal nationwide, and is supported by the current majority, will endure for at least 4 more years. Depending on who retires, Obama may have the opportunity to boost his power through the Supreme Court and enforce himself as an imperial president. Back to you, Diane.